All right, guys. So I'm officially back from my Thanksgiving break. Did a long 13-hour drive back and forth between Atlanta to go see my friends and family and all of that good stuff. So hope you guys had a good vacation if you got one. But I feel like I've missed so many different things that I have to catch up on here. Starting with this. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and get into it because Donald Trump, who's about to take office in a month or so now, is already out threatening to inflict hell on the entirety of the Middle East, apparently, if Hamas does not release the hostages from Gaza. So, pretty abrupt transition there, but let's go ahead and get into this. Here's what he posted over on Truth Social. He says, "Everybody is talking about the hostages who are being held so violently, inhumanely, and against the will of the entire world in the Middle East. But it's all talk and no action. Please let this truth serve to represent that if the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date that I proudly assume the office of President of the United States, there will be, in all caps here, all hell to pay in the Middle East. And for those in charge who perpetuated these atrocities against humanity, those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. Release the hostages now." So, a couple of different things on this. First off, the main obstacle to getting the hostages released from Gaza has not been Hamas. It has been Benjamin Netanyahu, who has repeatedly, at every chance that he has had the opportunity to do so, thwarted ceasefire talks that would have involved the release of the hostages from Gaza. So if you want to, I guess, post like an angry tweet or an angry truth here, attacking somebody for failing to get the hostages out of Gaza, you should be tweeting at your best buddy, Benjamin Netanyahu, right? That's who the focus of this anger should be directed at. Now, also, kind of key to understand here, he just sort of generically gestures at the Middle East, not Gaza, not even like Palestinians specifically, but the Middle East. You are going to inflict hell on the entire region if Hamas does not release the hostages back to Israel before you assume office. What does this mean? And he even makes the comparison here at the end of the statement. It's going to be hit harder than at any other point in American history. What does that mean? Are we talking about damage to the Middle East worse than the damage that was inflicted on Vietnam or Cambodia or Laos, or worse than the damage during the Korean War on North Korea, worse than the death and destruction of the Iraq War? What exactly are we talking about here? What does any of this even mean? And then the other thing is like, what exactly does Trump think that Israel's strategy in Gaza has been outside of endless death and destruction? They have destroyed a majority of the housing in Gaza. They've attacked essentially every single hospital, every single school, every refugee camp, every mosque, every church, every shelter that they could possibly see. Gaza has been utterly flattened to the ground at this point. They've already killed tens of thousands of innocent civilians as a part of this process. It's genuinely hard to imagine a scenario in which there is more damage wrought upon Gaza than what Israel has done over the last year plus of this genocide under the Biden administration, but it seems like that's what Trump is threatening here. Now, again, a lot of this is up in the air. A lot of this, who knows what he actually means? Does he mean he wants to, escalate with Hezbollah in Lebanon? Does he mean he wants to escalate towards a war with Iran? Because he's talking about the entire region here, generically. So I guess, it's up to interpretation what exactly he means here. Is this sort of like a 5D chess move that I don't think Trump is even capable of doing, but, he's trying to pressure to end the war in Gaza and to end the war with Hezbollah, and this is how he wants to do it. Guys, at the end of the day, this gets to the heart of the delusional interpretation of Trump as being anti-war. Trump was never anti-war. He was never anti-military industrial complex, as some people like to claim, or anti-establishment. Look at the people who he has staffed his cabinet with so far. We have guys like Mike Huckabee, who is a full-blown end times Christian death cult member who believes that we need to bring about the end of the world by making sure that Israel has full control of this entire territory. It's their biblical homeland, and Jesus is going to come back and he's going to fight the devil and end the world and whatever else the case may be. This is the kind of person who he has appointed to be his ambassador to Israel. You also have people like Pam Bondi. You have people like Pete Hegseth. You have people like Marco Rubio. You have people like Mike Waltz as his national security advisor. These are as Israel first as it gets. And this is who Trump has been staffing his administration with. You also have people like Miriam Adelson, who gave him, reportedly at least, like $100 million as sort of a bribe to then turn around and allow Israel to fully annex the West Bank. These are the kinds of people that he's surrounding himself with. It is the most aggressively pro-Zionism, pro-Israel administration in American history, point blank period. They are going to somehow take the immoral, unjust, illegal policy of the Biden administration and escalate it that much further. So the idea that Trump is anti-war, he's anti-deep state, he's going to take on the military-industrial complex or whatever the case may be. Do you guys know who Trump is? Anybody who's claimed that, do you know who Trump is? Because this is the kind of shit that he randomly tweets out on an average Tuesday. I'm going to wreak hell on the entirety of the Middle East if this doesn't happen, right? Again, completely ignoring that it has been Israel that's been a primary blockade to getting a ceasefire deal or a hostage deal actually enacted. Now, as pointed out here by Jeremy Scahill, we actually had a Hamas response to Trump. So here was the statement from Bassem Naim of Hamas's political bureau. They say, number one, since the beginning of this genocide, Hamas has publicly announced and been active in seeking a permanent ceasefire to end the Israeli aggression against our people, a deal which would have included a full prisoners exchange. Okay, point number one, I don't see anything inaccurate about that. Now, keep in mind, this is also something that the hostage families themselves inside of Israel have also been calling out Benjamin Netanyahu for. This is also something, by the way, that he forced out Yoav Gallant from his position as the defense minister, because Yoav Gallant, at least marginally, was more so in favor of getting a hostage deal done with Hamas. He pushed him out, right? So this is not some fringe, oh, you're doing Hamas talking points here. This is just the position of anybody who lives in reality at this point, that Benjamin Netanyahu does not want a hostage deal for his own, means of political survival, right? They continue. They say, number two, however, Netanyahu has sabotaged all of these attempts. At many times, we were extremely close to signing on a deal, but due to his savage actions and decisions, these deals broke down. They say, number three, therefore, Hamas understands that Trump's message is actually directed first towards Netanyahu and his government. They need to end their evil game by using negotiations as a cover for their personal, political, and ideological interests. They say, number four, Hamas is committed to immediately implementing the Security Council Resolution 2735 and the deal that was struck on July 2nd, 2024. I believe that was the Biden-supported deal that then ended up falling apart. They say, number five, we are looking forward to the daytime and seeing an end of this genocide against our people, their free return back to their homes all over the Gaza Strip, and prisoners from both sides freed and enjoying living amongst their families again. And number six, our people are eager to secure a better future for their children, full of hope, dignity, and prosperity. So, what other interpretation could you possibly have from this situation other than that? I mean, genuinely, if there are pro-Israel people who are watching this video, if there are some pro-Israel people in my audience, which would kind of be shocking to some extent, but, tell me where this is wrong. Tell me why the hostage families who have been insisting that Benjamin Netanyahu is blocking a hostage deal, tell me why they're wrong. I mean, what are we supposed to take away from Trump's statement there, other than he intends to escalate the genocide, to escalate the ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, and to continue full-throatedly supporting anything that the Benjamin Netanyahu government wants to do? How else are we supposed to interpret this? Now, we also have here, as some other brief updates, before I leave you guys off, and I'll have more coverage on Israel here in a minute because it's deserving of its own segment, some of the, absolute moral abhorrence that we have seen over the last couple of weeks. But first we have here from Barak Ravid. that Trump has just appointed Mossad Balouse, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Maybe I'm butchering that, but this is his in-law. This is his daughter, Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. And he has appointed him as Middle East advisor. The reason I guess I bring this up is because this is sort of emblematic of who Trump is, right? A sort of a wheeling and dealing, favors kind of guy. And it's also incredible, given the current domestic political moment that we're in right now, where everybody is up in arms about Joe Biden pardoning his son, Hunter, for some gun and tax charges that he was about to face. And while I really don't give a shit about Hunter Biden, to be honest with you guys, and maybe I'll do a whole video breaking down my take on that, but the point that I'm trying to get at here is you had this massive scandal, right, with Hunter Biden working at Burisma, and he got this job because of nepotism, et cetera, et cetera. I think all of those critiques of Hunter are largely correct. But when it comes to Trump, I hear utter and complete silence over the fact that he's literally appointing his own family members to key positions, influential positions in his administration. If this isn't nepotism, then what is it, right? We also had reporting here as a reminder that Jared Kushner himself, here from the Times of Israel, is expected to play a key role in Trump's Middle East policy. This is the same Jared Kushner that was in a similar position under the first Trump administration, and then after leaving the first Trump administration, got $2 billion from the Saudis to his investment firm. And we know that it was a corrupt political action because even the Saudi financial, system was saying this isn't necessarily a good investment, but that had to be overruled. And they said, well, this isn't really a financial investment. This is more of a political investment here. And so the same Jared Kushner, the same Trump who helped to, veto a bill that was a bipartisan bill led by Bernie Sanders and Mike Lee, I believe it was, to end U.S. support for the Saudi genocide in Yemen. Trump vetoed that bill, gave millions, billions of dollars in weaponry to the Saudis. Then his son-in-law gets a payout worth $2 billion from the Saudis, and now this guy is returning back to the Trump administration. I mean, is this not the most aggressive corruption that you've ever seen in your life? This would be like if Joe Biden nominated Hunter Biden to lead as like an advisor on Ukrainian policy. That's what this is the equivalent of. And yet it's utter and complete silence from conservatives when it comes to this kind of nepotism and corruption and whatever else the case may be. So there you go, guys. I'm going to finish off this video here. Again, I'll have a couple more videos out today and tomorrow covering similar things, but it's just wild, man. I mean, this is what we're in for in the second Trump administration. Rank, in-your-face corruption, threats to go to all-out war and to create hell in entire regions of the world. This is what we're in for. And it's an absolute fucking nightmare.
Politic guy has the best politics. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying